It's funny. I just came back from the hallways and I saw this guy who, is a perp, right? Just a very bottom feeder. Like you see them, you're like, oh my gosh, he definitely nuts. Like I didn't even have to look at him because I looked down because I don't know who I'm gonna see, and if it's a child, they're gonna do some pedophilia type of torture. So I'm look down. I don't want to look at them, but they know that I see them for what they are. Right? It's embarrassing at this point. And you see this guy rolling his bag. I guess he's gonna be on duty today. Doing these things to me. And he's like, hey man. I was like, whatever. Like, you're just a perp. You're nothing. You work for pedophiles. And so what you see there is the same things. You have people around you that are perps. You're gonna hear. They try to create a psyop, right? And these people try to be like, oh, we're protecting the community. These people are freaking pedophiles. There's issues with pedophilia in these agencies, and the tactics of pedophilia is so nasty. And they're like, now you pay for what you did as a kid. I just heard what they do to a 3-year-old kid. You understand? So you know what they do to children. On top of doing the pedophilia type of torture, they torture children. And when I blast that and when I put that in the speakers and make sure the hallways know that I know they hurt kids, and you hear this try to be like, oh, hey guy, thank you. It's like, don't thank me, I know you torture children. Do you thank them when you torture them? No, okay. I'd rather get my dick cut off. Excuse me for my language. Because they're like castrate. I'd rather get my dick cut off than do what you do. He's trying to make it so casual and normalize it. I was like, no, I know what you do. Me getting my dick cut is, I'd rather die like this. You fucking sad piece of shit. But you know that. So they try to find ways to cope with reality. And I don't let them live that fantasy. I see them for exactly what they are. It's like, you serve. It's like, yeah? Like the person who's torturing your children right now? I know it's them. So that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, do your nasty things. I know what you guys do to children and women around the world. You nasty low lives. How many people have died because of these nasty things you do? They want me to look at them as like, oh, they're avenging. Oh. So you see these people. I was outside making these videos. They're about the same. They do these horrible things to women. They do these horrible things to children. They do this pedophilia type of torture. These people are filled with pedophiles. These agencies are filled with pedos. I'm talking about agents doing things to 2-year-old and 6-year-old. I would have starved to death. I couldn't be eating and doing what they do. I see one of my next door neighbor, overweight man, big guy. I'm like, do you think I could live your life? I'd rather sit there and let myself go than be doing the things these people do. You know how uncomfortable it is to know that the person you torture, you manipulate, you do all these things is supposed to be like acceptive to this manipulation that almost all target individuals are experiencing. I was sitting outside listening to the terrible things they do to women and children, bringing up the fact that for sure they do this pedophilia type of torture. It's not almost out of 1,000 people they surveyed, 1,000 people. Almost all of them said they do the pedophilia type of torture. They force you to do the child porn in their mind. And what they do to women, repetitive raping using this technology. And you hear this low life passing me as like, you fucking trash. You probably killed out here doing the same thing to women and children. So I see them for exactly what they are. There's nothing you can make me do to think that you are better than me. You're just shit. You're the God. I didn't even have to look. Just even talking to me, you're just a nobody. Get the fuck off me. Go be God in that room. But one thing is for sure, I can never let them live the fantasy. I know my body's gonna break down because this is what they do to the body. They do that to 3-week-old babies. You will listen to that. Yes. You're gonna listen to what they do to children. They abuse these kids using this technology. And this trash that walks by me is like, I'm listening to what you guys do to 3-year-old kids. He think I'm gonna let him escape, huh? And these people, you see the building down over there. Well, I was listening. There's somebody in pink just running. I saw the back of it. Is it most likely maybe a child? I don't know. It just went by, and I'm like, you can see how far I am from that place. So I can barely see. I just saw like a pink thing zoom, and I tried to take a picture. I was like, oh, it was gone already. It's like, and they tried to make me imagine a child. Just like, but remember when you played mom and dad when you're 10 years old, and make me think of these girls that was about my age that were playing mom and dad. Fucking. It's like, no, but and then they've been playing my memories, try to change things around instead of the reality. It's like, no, castrate you. It was like, I'd rather get my dick off. I'd rather get my dick cut off. I'm sorry. Instead of trying to cover up reality. Because obviously they know who I really am. The things they try to not say is the reality. And I see this guy, he's like, do you think I would like to trade life between me and you? Do you think I want to be like holding my baggage for the night and torture you? No! Not even torture you, try to force you to accept these peripheral things that I force people to experience. You make me want to die. You don't make me, these people do not make me envy life at all. I think he was trying to walk and like, he was like, you fucking clown, go in your shit and do your nasty things. I'd rather be crawling. One thing is for sure. Me, a dying man who's being radiated by this trash, is never going to subscribe to these things. And these people here, who's like, you were. He's like, yeah, like the CIA agents that are doing these things to kids? Or you guys who torture children? I'd rather get raped and cut up in pieces. There'll be no point in my life where I'll be like, let me live the life of this person who just passed by me. Of course I know this thing comes back to them. They torture children. There's a person who's yelling something nasty. It's like, you beat up the children. It's like, yeah, look who's talking. These people have problem with pedophilia, Asians downloading child porn. This person who passed by me could be having a laptop right now and filled with pedophilia stuff. There's this guy, he's so delusional. I call him Cookie Monster. Because it's like, we got your cookies. Because we have child porn. It's like, clown. You got it mixed up. The people you should look into, the cookies work, you work for them. And like, what about you when you're a kid? You mean like this DOD people? The amount of child porn that this person saw when he's looking at this government's computer? You're delusional trash. So because now when I'm watching adult content, they make me think of children. And flip this thing together. Like change it. That's their job. He comes with his little bag to start doing these things. That's his life right now on a Saturday. Happy Saturday for him. This is pathetic life. To all my talking video, you could be living life like these people. You can live that life where you change people into these peripheral ways. And like, no, we match it to you when you're a kid. Listen to what they do to children. Listen to how they do the peripheral type of torture. Nothing new, huh? I've said that many times. I can make 25,000 videos of those. I don't care about that. I will do millions if I have to. Just because now, even hearing them, like, freaking pedos, get the fuck away from me. Till my tagging videos, stay strong. Justice will be done for the nasty things they do to us. They are low life, they have no self-respect, and they are here trying to walk in different ways of, oh, wow. Oh, you guys don't do the perfect type of torture. And they thank me because they do things to my body. Because I'm a human subject, just like children. It's like, do you thank those children when you do this human experimentation on them? Fucking trash. Go, you're going to be reimbursed. I already died in hell and live in your heaven.
They're told.
By who?
By the voices, the V2K. So they'll say, we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all these stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis that people will believe something other than a massive government could do this. And so anyway, my interview with Len, he very well described a typical breakdown script that's used on almost all the TI victims. TI stands for targeted individuals. Some of them are pretty crazy. They have names like Alice in Wonderland, Wizard of Oz, And those are the confusion tactics. And when they're breaking down the ego of the human through all the pains and tortures and the verbal breakdown, these are typical CIA torture scripts. I mean, Kubark manual. And they do good cop, bad cop interrogation called Jeff and Mutt. And they go right through the list, right? Just textbook. So whoever the handlers are on the other side of this synthetic telepathy, they're following the handbook perfectly. And
the Pentagon staff members or contractors had such images. In 2014, the Inspector General of the Intelligence Community found that 2 officials from the National Reconnaissance Office, which oversees America's spy satellites, acknowledged viewing images of child sexual abuse during polygraph examinations. This is so disturbing. At a symposium in 2016, Daniel Payne, a top Pentagon security official, said that when workers' computers were examined, the amount of child porn I see is just unbelievable. Is this something that is happening for whatever reason with more frequency in our intelligence agencies, or is this something that is more pervasive in the general population than I originally realized? I mean, what's going on here? This is so bizarre. Remember, it's so evil.
Allie, we're told, and when I was put through recruitment into the intel community, you're put through polygraphs, you're put through a rigorous selection process. Why aren't these people weeded out? Why are so many pedophiles allowed to be given top-level security clearance? Remember, these aren't just people walking in off the street and saying, hey, can I get hired? Can I get a job? You're put through an extremely rigorous background check screening process. It's called an SSBI, single scope background investigation. There are people, they interview you, they interview your family, they interview your contacts, they go through your online footprint, they go through everything. So why is it that when they're going through these footprints, they're not checking, these digital footprints, they're not checking for so many pedophiles getting through their ranks? If it were up to me, you need to go into Congress, and Congress needs to launch a brand new church committee, number one, to talk about domestic surveillance operations, but number two, to ask the question, why are there so many pedophiles sitting behind those computer screens within the walls of Langley, within the Pentagon, and throughout the broader intelligence community?
But my entire family has suffered right by my side. We have all experienced the same type of harassment on different levels. We have all suffered the same symptoms while this harassment was going on. Some of our physical symptoms include severe tooth decay and vision loss, unexplained rashes and burns, severe headaches, mood swings, anxiety, thyroid problems, high blood pressure, heart problems, vision loss, and cancer. Two of my children were born premature, which I attribute to this. Our son Dylan, now age 9, was born very premature. He was born at 31 weeks. During her pregnancy with Dylan, we were being targeted more so than other times. At the delivery, there were weird men walking and waiting around the hospital. Right outside our delivery room window, there was a white cargo van parked with 2 suspicious men inside. They were there the entire labor, a delivery. Our son had to be transported to another hospital 45 minutes away. When arriving to the Toa hospital, those same men and van were present. Three of my children have severe rashes that have not been explained by several doctors. These rashes have been present for several years at a time. If interested, I will gladly furnish you with detailed photos of the rashes. Our infant daughter, at 3 weeks old, was diagnosed with Lerner syndrome. This was after a severe rash appeared on her body after a few days of torture. We were told by a couple doctors to take her home and love her and spend the rest of the time we have with her. They told us she would ultimately die from this syndrome. Thank God that Lerner syndrome was not what affected our daughter. Doctors are still dumbfounded by her rash and symptoms. Sadly, we know that her symptoms were effects from the torture this poor innocent 3-week-old baby endured. Recently, I lost complete time. I exhibited the flashing lights. My 9-year-old son Dylan complained about the lights. You will often hear that vision is something that is greatly affected with this type of torture.
So you hear the testimony of this family. A lot of things they talk about, and that was just specific to the kids, even babies, infants, 3-week-old baby sick, thinking that was learner's syndrome.
Shortly thereafter, I got my period 2 weeks early when I was usually very regular and discovered that this is one of the well-known biological effects of severe microwave radiation poisoning. Because these symptoms of sexual assault were not physiologically normal or possible without external manipulation. It is not physiologically normal to just have repeated spontaneous orgasms all through the night like that, literally one right after another. And then it all made sense when I learned about microwave weapons. In 2015, I began to experience what some call V2K, or voice to skull. This involves the projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind. Additionally, the targeting is all highly perverted and sexual, as well as destructive and violent. Recently, they even started adding moaning and groaning sounds to the V2K and started putting actual creaking sounds directly in the walls to make it sound as though people are having sex. And I was able to audio record these rhythmic creaking sounds and have submitted this file to the commission. These voices are vulgar, violent, cruel, and constantly threatening and using profanities that I never use. They repeat certain phrases excessively, as I learned that repetition is a form of torture in and of itself. They frequently threaten to give me cancer.
This technology can be used to sexually manipulate the target. It can make the target feel sexual arousal or
I observed one of my 3-year-old clients suddenly grab his crotch and lean forward in his chair. And then he made a frightening grimace of severe pain. I asked him what was wrong and if he needed to use the restroom, but he said no to having to use the restroom and was not able to verbalize anything more due to his language delay. He looked puzzled and bewildered. Even though I had stated that it was time to do more work right before this incident, I quickly just let him play another game, and he quickly returned to his joyful, happy self again. In other sessions, he has also grabbed his crotch and said, "ow," while looking up at me. It's what is referred to as malodorance. This is the alteration of the smell sensation so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat of planted dreams and videos in every day, and anytime I am awakened at night, every night. They range from mild to extreme, but usually involve daily and nightly continuous assaults for the past 3 years now. When severe, the zaps to the genitals feel as though someone is electrocuting my genitals repeatedly. I also often see highly disturbing pornographic images and videos, including highly disturbing pedophilia type.
I am as a person is somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophilia, this disgusting things. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind.
Down tactic of belief systems and the human will. In no-touch torture, the techniques are more psychologically specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds.
Every day, and anytime I am awakened at night, every night. They range from mild to extreme, but usually involve daily and nightly continuous assaults for the past 3 years now. When severe, the zaps to the genitals feel as though someone is electrocuting my genitals repeatedly. I also often see highly disturbing pornographic images and videos, including highly disturbing pedophilia type of images and videos when I close my eyes.
I am as a person is somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophilia, like this disgusting things. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no choice now but to acknowledge that there are people in my surroundings or whatever they're doing. I don't know how they do it. I don't care. I don't know if it's through.
This technology can be used to sexually manipulate the target. It can make the target feel sexual arousal or
But my entire family has suffered right by my side. We have all experienced the same type of harassment on different levels.
I observed one of my 3-year-old clients suddenly grab his crotch and lean forward in his chair. And then he made a frightening grimace of severe pain. I asked him what was wrong and if he needed to use the restroom, but he said no to having to use the restroom and was not able to verbalize anything more due to his language delay. He looked puzzled and bewildered. Even though I had stated that it was time to do more work right before this incident, I quickly just let him play another game, and he quickly returned to his joyful, happy self again. In other sessions, he has also grabbed his crotch and said, "Ow," while looking up at me.
But my entire family has suffered right by my side. We have all experienced the same type of harassment on different levels. We have all suffered the same symptoms while this harassment was going on. Some of our physical symptoms include severe tooth decay and vision loss, unexplained rashes and burns, severe headaches, mood swings, anxiety, thyroid problems, high blood pressure, heart problems, vision loss and cancer. Two of my children were born premature, which I attribute to this. Our son Dylan, now age 9, was born very premature. He was born at 31 weeks. During her pregnancy with Dylan, we were being targeted more so than other times. At the delivery, there were weird men walking and waiting around the hospital. Right outside our delivery room window, there was a white cargo van parked with 2 suspicious men inside. They were there the entire labor, a delivery. Our son had to be transported to another hospital 45 minutes away. When arriving to the Toa hospital, those same men and van were present. Three of my children have severe rashes that have not been explained by several doctors. These rashes have been present for several years at a time. If interested, I will gladly furnish you with detailed photos of the rashes. Our infant daughter, at 3 weeks old, was diagnosed with Lerner's syndrome. This was after a severe rash appeared on her body after a few days of torture. We were told by a couple doctors to take her home and love her and spend the rest of the time we have with her. They told us she would ultimately die from this syndrome. Thank God that Lerner's syndrome was not what affected our daughter. Doctors are still dumbfounded by her rash and symptoms. Sadly, we know that her symptoms were effects from the torture this poor innocent 3-week-old baby endured. Recently, I lost complete time. I exhibited the flashing lights. My 9-year-old son Dylan complained about the lights. You will often hear that vision is something that is greatly affected with this type of torture.
So you hear the testimony of this family. A lot of things they talk about, and that was just specific.